What you are about to hear is the first review episode of Amazon's Wheel of Time show by the fans of Weaves and Will Talk. This episode will include spoilers for the Wheel of Time TV show episodes 1 through 3. Though we try to avoid potential spoilers from what is known from the books, we cannot guarantee a spoiler-free experience. You have been warned. The wheel weaves as the wheel wills, and we are just a thread in the pattern. Welcome to Weaves and Will Talk, a weekly review podcast for fans of Robert Jordan's The Wheel of Time book series and the Amazon show of the same name. With help from my nerdy friends, we will discuss aspects of fantasy fiction and review episodes of the Wheel of Time show as fans of the franchise. Join us as we explore Randland together. And remember, be steadfast. Hello and welcome to Weaves and Will Talk. Tonight's episode will be the first of our review episodes where we will look at the release and premiere of the Wheel of Time series on Amazon Prime, and we'll cover episodes 1 through 3. Now I know there are going to be some changes. I believe all the fans that we'll talk to today that are followers and part of the fellowship of fandom from the books will all agree everyone's expecting some changes to take place. However, when the change is fundamentally shifting what was, that's no longer an adaptation, that's a transformation. And that's what I think a lot of the fear that you're going to hear tonight comes from. I know it's where mine comes from, but you don't have to take my word for it. Let's listen to a whole panel of fans and see what the feeling is about this new fantasy adventure. Hello and welcome back to Weaves and Will Talk. This will be the first fan discussion after the premiere. To discuss all 3 episodes, I have my elite nerd squad with me. Some names are new, some names are old, but everybody's going to get a chance to say hello. Welcome Chi, Joe, Jeremy, and Katie. Say hello, guys.
Hello, guys.
Hello, everyone.
Greetings and salutations.
So everybody, here's the question of the night. What did you think?
Are we talking all together or first episode? We're going to tackle each one separately or
Let's
together?
just do first general impressions, and then we'll tackle each episode.
Rushed.
The first general impression was I was disappointed.
So I've got
Yeah,
rushed,
I'll
I've got
second that.
disappointed.
Disappointed is not a strong enough word for me, I don't think.
Yeah, it's an understatement.
Deep-seated
I love that,
hatred and, calls for Rafe Judkins' blood, pretty much.
Yeah, I think my feelings, my initial feelings and kind of overall, at least 24 hours ago, were that. I completely saw red and I just want to rip certain creative individuals limb from limb. But
I simply don't
I've calmed down a
understand.
little. Go
I
ahead.
just don't understand I don't understand the changes. I don't get why make the ones they made. Matt's parents, for example.
Yeah, that one got me hard. I was a big fan of Tam Althor and Abel Coffin in the book.
Absolutely.
And
Yep.
the way they were portrayed in this first episode, Tam being a patsy and Abel being a womanizing, Matt's whole home life, was not like that in the books, and that had something to do with everything that happened to him and his character.
Totally agree.
So, for them to do that to Matt's parents, I mean, I think they shortchanged themselves in the long run, because Tam and Abel were, integral in, spoilers at the end of the books. So,
Absolutely.
Also, why is Perrin married, and why did they make him married just for him to kill her in the same episode?
And make up a whole character for him to marry, even though there were throwaways they could have used.
Right.
See, actually,
it's ridiculous.
I saw that one answered on Twitter by several different fans, and as angry as I still am at that particular change, there was a theory of why they did it that does make some sense. Not saying it's good, so it makes some sense.
I had a theory. I came up with tonight.
Okay, let's hear it.
Well, one thing that we were hoping for, we were kind of afraid that Perrin wasn't going to come off as big and hulking as he was described in the book. And one of the things that was about Perrin was, because he's so big and thick from all of the time he spent with blacksmithing, and he's just a big dude anyway. He's always approached the world and the people around him as if they were, they were just breakable, and he was afraid that he was going to hurt somebody.
Clark Kent syndrome.
And a lot of that was introspective. It's internal monologuing in the book, and you don't really have that in the story. So I think they gave us a reason for him to be very hesitant to pick up a weapon or be afraid that he's going to hurt someone. I don't think that's the way they needed to do it, but I think that might be what they were trying to do in the short time they gave it.
That's what Twitter basically responded with. They were saying that was the motivation behind his hesitance, and they said that it's hard to portray stoicism on television. It doesn't always translate, which would be Perrin. So I reluctantly will concede those points.
Agreed, it's a hard thing to bring to the screen, but I think their approach was just completely wrong for the character. I mean, imagine if they did a reboot of Big Hero 6 and Baymax put his fist through somebody's chest, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the equivalent.
Yeah. Because even if you agree the change is necessary to help, because of the medium shift, I'm with you. Having that kind of traumatic event, especially as your 20s or late teens, that's going to affect who you are as a person going on out, not this little tweak of, I feel stronger than everybody else. That's completely different scales.
You just took him in a completely different direction character growth-wise. And instead of dealing with things the way we, know he's going to deal with it, now you just went dark and broody. You painted yourself into a corner. It's the same with Abel and Tam, right? You're now missing out on two characters, and now creatively, if you decide you're going to have to try to bring those back, you've got to write some kind of redemption stuff or something. You've simply just created more work.
I wonder now, think about it, are they going to skip the from the books? I don't want to say too much in case they haven't gotten there yet. But I wonder if they're going to skip that encounter, because he does something similar there. And I wonder if they're going to make the person he had to put down or not had to, he put down in the town. They're going to replace that killing, and put that in place of the previous the other killing. I wonder if that's going to substitute that. They're going to cut that scene out to again move the story forward without and make up time, trying to condense things together, put traumatizing events together.
Even if that were acceptable, and I'm not saying that it is, to me, that's the kind of thing you do when you reach a problem that doesn't translate. And if that can be pacing, that can be actual events, that can be the interior dialogues that they're always having, fine. That's when you do it. But right now, I am hard-pressed to come up with a major or auxiliary character that we've been introduced to thus far that they haven't changed. Like, they've changed every character. Not tweaks here and there. Every character changed.
Drastic changes. Changes.
Some more drastic than others, but yes.
I'm in agreement totally. There are no Luhans in this version. It seems as Bran Alvear is in the back seat when it comes to his end being run. And Marin is taking the reins on that. And it seems like through the whole show, and maybe this is just me, but it seems like they are having a real Me Too moment with the whole series, and it seems like a lot of the male characters are being driven into some sort of Mary Sue type role.
I got that impression too. I felt that they were trying to be supportive and take advantage of, the time in history that we're in and lean into it. But now it comes across as forced because the story itself leaned into it. It was just that it was a perfect story for this time because it does have some of the same things that the Me Too movement is cheering for, but it was already there. So adding more on top of it just makes it heavy now.
It makes it seem like they're trying too hard.
Mm-hmm.
On a positive note, though, they did not use really crappy CGI wolves.
Nope, those look like authentic wolves.
It looked like a real actual wolf.
I'll tell you one thing I liked about it.
Let's hear it.
The introduction with all the weaving.
Yeah, it was all over the net. Like, best opening ever. I'm like,
yeah,
it's top 10. I don't know about best.
Yeah, I don't know about best, but that was actually kind of cool, and I liked it.
I liked it. And it really felt Game of Thronesy to me.
Yeah, and I kind of liked the magical spells when Moiraine is casting. But other than that, why did they make her so hateful?
I like the effect. I don't think I actually like her casting, but I do like the CGI.
Yeah, the CGI. That's what I meant. Not her movements, because she looks like she's having a stroke or something.
She's actually weaving the power, I think is what Katie means.
Yeah.
Like she's drawn it in like Goku. It almost seems
like I was actually
the spirit bomb
with the visuals on that. I kind of expected that to be a bit more, I don't know, visual. I down a lot, which was okay, but I don't know. I guess I expected something different.
Yeah, I think that her showing her weaving or channeling or whatever, I think it looks good. I think they did a good job on it. It's just I wanted to see more weaving in my weave. There was no weave in it. It was just casting.
Agreed. And I expected there to be colors or some sort of hue to the different elements too, and I didn't see any of that.
And I know later on in the books they don't really describe it as much. I don't think in the beginning, but as you see more Aes Sedai, being around each other, you see more. They described it as having more formation with the weave. That seemed more just willy nilly free. And there needs to be more formation in it if you're going to be able to see. They could actually look at your weave and tell what you were casting just by how you wove it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I didn't see that in her casting. It just looks fluid. You
didn't see the glow of Sidar either. So, I think they're taking some sort of liberties, but you got to admit, as far as CG goes, the Trollocs look pretty nasty. And I'm not gonna lie.
They did pretty
good. The Trollocs were definitely terrifying.
I agree. They did a good job with the Trollocs.
Definitely.
And the Halfmen too. The Fades look cool.
Yeah, Katie, go ahead. Say to them what you said to me about him.
Fade kind of looks like he's been drinking a little too much unicorn blood.
Definitely.
I think I know your brother.
A little Voldemort-y.
Except, with worse dental situation.
Yeah, I don't remember them missing a nose, just the eyes, right?
I honestly don't recall.
I don't remember.
They had a nose. They can still pass for human in the books because they had a nose. If they had their cowl pulled up, they could still pass for human. But this guy couldn't pass for
no
anything. And that was one of the things that made the Fade so scary, is they could walk among humans. They could get you in your sleep.
Yeah.
So I think they may have gone too far with the Fade.
So how far has everybody gotten? Have we all watched.
At least one of us has not watched the third episode. I think that was Jeremy.
I have not seen. I've not seen the third one, but you know,
Oh, so you
I have
haven't
5
been
children at home,
assaulted.
so
You
Yeah.
haven't been assaulted or affronted
Yeah.
by
yeah,
Tom. By Tom's.
I'm very upset because I haven't seen Tom Maryland yet.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
he was
well-
in episode 3 with a corduroy sport coat.
Jeremy, I will tell
You're
you
not gonna be
this.
happy.
I was watching episode 3 and I stopped and I texted Katie and wrote, quote, "Okay, for the record, I officially gave up hope in episode 3, timestamp 02512. Just so you know,
Episode 3
that's
for
when
me.
you'll meet Tom.
Okay,
Yep.
I don't know the exact timestamp, but whenever they named the IU, I bowed out, and I'm done now. That was wrong in
Yeah.
every possible way.
Now, after we get to meet Tom, that's the timestamp. I'm like, I'm out. I can't.
Yeah, he was absolutely wrong, and and also, where's Min?
Yeah, that was
Wait.
something that bothered me as
We-
well. Been through.
we-
We're already in
haven't-
Shadow Logoth on number 2, and there's no mention of men or.
We haven't gotten far enough in to meet Ben yet.
No,
Min
men
was introduced
at,
not too far outside the Two Rivers, way before they ever
Yeah.
met Shadar Logoth.
You sure?
Yep,
I
introduced.
thought
oh,
I couldn't-
absolutely, she was.
Introduced.
Oh, okay.
When they got to Barrelon, she was working at the
Yep,
inn at
Barrelon.
Barrelon.
I thought she was at White Church, Whitehall, Whitebridge.
Whitebridge,
I thought she was at
no,
Whitebridge.
Whitebridge is where.
That's
is
where they
when-
met back up with, if memory serves.
Right.
And see, another thing you just point out, just in that exchange, trying to narrow down, where things happen in the timeline, all these other cities that they would have hit by now, if they're paced with the book, even the ones they've been to, we didn't get any of that sense of wonder from these country kids. They're just strolling into new
Right.
places like, this is new. That's
You
it.
know, I was so mad I didn't even pick up on that, to be honest.
Yeah.
Well, Min
You're right.
Farshaw's a pretty important character, and for you not even to introduce her, that's kind of effed up in my mind.
Well,
I agree.
I'm wondering if Min's gonna play the role in the show that she played in the book. I'm beginning to wonder if they're going to go a different direction with that altogether.
I think what they're going to do is introduce Min at the tower. Like they're trying to, and truth be told, I was thinking about this. Perhaps season 2 is where the show is going to find its stride, not unlike the first time I read through the series. A lot of people found book 1 to be very slow the first read through. So if they're going off solely that, maybe they're trying to just get through book 1 and then slow down. That's hope.
The whole fact that they're concerned about whether the dragon is male or female boggles my mind.
Yeah,
that's
but
changing the entire.
The dragon
prophecy.
can only
It
be a
was-
man.
It
yeah,
was spelled out very clearly. Yeah,
I
remember
think
right. A boy child was born on the slopes of Dragon Mount or something like that. It was pretty
Yep.
clear.
I think what they're doing there is they're pandering and they're flattening out the one power to be just one power and not having the two sides, the side R and side E. I think that's what they're doing there.
Which
I
is
think you're right, and
terrifying.
I think I was
Yeah,
actually very
that's
worried about
absolutely terrifying.
that. Yep.
Because in any other, book you might pick up, you might be able to go into a magic system and do that, and it have very little effect on it. But
Cut it
as
in
we
half?
know, well, no, even it out, level it out, make it accessible if it was gender separated. But this particular series is built on the separation. That binary opposition is the foundation of every theme that every story arc follows. If you change that, you
Yep.
change everything.
There is a reason why the Aes Sedai symbol, it looks like a yin and a yang.
Yep.
Because there has to be two sides to the coin.
Which
That's
they
the
showed like
opposition that
15
drives the
times
wheel.
last night, but they're going
Right.
to lean away from it.
Also, I
Yeah,
hated the
but
rings.
there again, that's the pandering that you're going to see there.
Oh, it's a good ring for punching, Joe.
No, I hated the rings. I'm really angry about Tom's cloak.
I'm angry about Tom.
I thought
Actually,
Tom
like
was
the actor, but
I thought he
took
was-
his character in the wrong direction. I think.
yeah, I thought he was cool, but he seems a little more ranger than Gleeman, and I got the feeling that this is more Tom. We aged up all the kids, I think they aged down Tom.
Well,
This is Tom in his prime.
well, either
I'm
yes,
okay
you're
with
right.
that.
Either it is Tom in his prime, or when you actually get to know about Tom. But for the first few books or whatever, he's the simple gleeman.
Yeah. This Tom's supposed to be more like Picard season 1, and then come back and later on in the season. I mean, not season, but the seasons. We see him more as Picard in season 4.
Until we
Fight
eventually,
Klingons.
until we eventually get to Sleeveless Picard flexing the guns.
Yeah, but he's coming out the gate, slinging blades.
Yeah, that's when I tapped out. I mean, I continued to watch, but my soul gave up with Tom.
Oh, my soul left the minute Perrin killed whoever he was married to. Anybody know her name, by the way?
Nope.
Layla.
Layla. Yep.
Oh.
Got me on my knees, Layla. Megan Darwin, please.
Who didn't even get a line, the poor girl, or did she?
No, she didn't. She didn't have one line.
Yeah, yes, she did. She said, he said, "I love you." She said, "I know," or "I know you do." So that's at least
Yeah,
one.
you're right. Yep, she said 3 words. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope she got paid for that.
And she got a decent fight scene. I will give that. That was a down and dirty tussle with a Trolloc.
Which makes sense for a ultra small town medieval housewife or blacksmith apprentice, or
especially a mountain girl.
Yep.
Yeah, I loved
Yeah,
all the
absolutely.
women in the
Fight
village during the Trolloc attack. They were kicking butt and taking names. That's how it's supposed to be.
Yep.
At least in the Two Rivers.
Well, it's supposed to be after
So that's when they get
So
organized.
if we're gonna,
after they get organized, right? They just found out
If
those
we're gonna-
weren't fake, so I think they reacted a little well. To be honest.
I don't know, man. It seems like if we're gonna bring up the Holy Trek, then it seems a lot like the planet where the men were all pansies and the women ran stuff from season 1.
I know which one you're talking about. Yep.
Yeah, man, and you can have that. You can have that in the Wheel of Time, because Wheel of Time has that, but it's not all over. It's in certain cultures. They got to have the diversity of the cultures, and we're not seeing that because that was not exactly how the Two Rivers did it. Two Rivers was a little different.
Well,
they were strong,
diversity,
but there was it was different. It was definitely a division, and it was more traditional, more what we're used to American wise, I guess. That the Two Rivers was more like us.
Well, the whole first book took place in Andor and Shinar exclusively. There was no in between.
Oh yeah, Andor. I've been trying to remember Andor, that name for like the last week. I could not remember Andor.
Yeah, so I mean, the diversity comes in later in the other books when you get the Damani and the
Shanchen?
the not the Shanchen, not the Domani, not the Damani, the Domani, our Domani people.
So you're thinking
the culture starts to come in later. I mean, it comes in a little with Shinar, but you don't see it as much. I mean, you can if you're reading enough into it in the books, you can tell what cultures these different cultures in the wheel were based upon. Like you get the Far Eastern, you do get the Far Eastern feel from Shinar and the Borderlands. You do get a more African American feel from the Domani. You do get the more Italian feel from the people in Ebu Dar. So
Greek, but yeah.
Greek, yeah, you know what I mean. So, I don't think they're given enough time to develop. It's like, no, we got to have diversity right now, from the beginning. Got to have diversity, all of it. Woke. And I think that they're rushing too much in this series.
Well, see, I think that's a good point because traditional fantasy has previously been white people talking to white people, traveling long distances to talk to other white people. So the cry for diversity and things like that, when it's a fantasy world, is not an unrealistic goal to ask for. But because of this particular context, once again, the author did it naturally. You just have to actually go to the different places that he involved in this complex storyline. So you didn't have to force the divorce, just like Jeremy said. It was already present. But now it comes off as heavy-handed.
And that reminds me, what happened to Bail Domon? We didn't see him.
No Bail Doman.
No, we haven't gotten him yet.
We mean,
No,
yeah.
he would have been after Shadow Logos.
Yep. He
Yeah,
pulled.
Yeah, but no. Oh, yes, but no. That we're getting to that we should see him in the next episode.
I can't comment on that because I haven't seen episode 3 yet, so I don't know where the end is.
He's not in episode 3.
No, he's not in episode 3, but that made sense. He's not. He should be in episode 4.
You should also put it out too that TV shows just aren't typically good at slow burn stories, and this is a slow burn story. This is about characterization.
And that's the sad part, because TV shows are the ideal vehicle for a slow burn.
Yeah, but TV producers don't get that yet.
Well, what don't TV producers get? I mean, if it's a successful series, then you get 8-10 seasons like you do with Seinfeld and The Big Bang Theory. I mean, it's not unheard of for a show to get 5, 6, 7 seasons. You know, they don't have to be canceled after 1 or 2. And then I think they're trying to jam it all in the first season so that they can, you know, if it gets canceled, they can just say, oh, well, you know, at least we tried.
Well, see, they're already filming season 2, so they have to have some measure of confidence.
They have to have
Well,
confidence.
they just have an immeasurable amount of money thanks to Jeff Bezos. I think that's the only thing that matters here.
Right. Let's not forget how Expanse came to be on Amazon, right? He liked the show, therefore he just bought it.
Must be nice. There were so many shows I would buy.
Firefly.
Yes, that was the first one on the list.
That was the first one.
We're too old for
And I
these
dare
roles.
say-
We've signed other things. I don't care. Work.
That's a great example of a show that was all about characterization, and that's what really made it shine.
And it was a slow burn for the overarching story, which is what we never got to see. We just saw the build-up.
And it's still fantastic.
Indeed.
But I think a lot of this boils down to, on some level, it really works with certain types of characters when they actually don't grow themselves, but the environment changes and you put them in different situations.
Well, I get that, but one of the big traits of a fantasy, especially epic fantasies, is character journeys, where they do actually change, and usually they start as teenagers and grow into, adults. That was a hallmark of this, and they've gone ahead and skipped ahead to make sure that they fit their roles for when the battle happens, instead of having the character grow through those roles.
But I noticed
that's something.
After watching the 3 episodes, I noticed that it came off very forced conflict, forced angst, forced rudeness and abruptness. When all the people were together, it came off very CW. Then when
Very
they
CW. Me and Katie were saying that earlier. It sounded like the CW.
But when they separated, it was like, okay, we don't have enough people to do all the drama. Let's just go back to the book. And they started following the book at that point.
Excellent observation.
I slept through that point a little bit. I didn't see that. I'll be totally honest. I didn't see any part where they followed the book. But like I said, I was simply present for episodes 2 and 3. Was not watching.
2 and 3 were more in line with the book. 3 was more in line with the book than 2 was. But as they went on, it was more in line with the book. It was this one. They just winged it.
Yeah, they just took the names of all the people and kind of guessed what they were doing.
Yeah, it seems like that the people that are making the show are not familiar with the source material at all. And as far as character development goes, I think, and I was telling Katie this earlier, I think there's a whole level of naivete and wholesomeness that is missing from our Emmons Field 5 at the very beginning.
Absolutely. They don't seem anywhere near close enough.
No,
there's no innocence to them.
Yeah.
Yep.
No innocence.
Right. There's no modesty at all. I mean,
none.
You know,
and what are they doing having sex
17,
already?
18 years old.
Exactly. Like, that was a big deal when, Rand first got some.
And the only change that I'm wondering actually might come off as a good thing was Nynaeve. So she, in my opinion, and I don't know if this was intentional or if this was just Jordan's writing, but she came off as I've been looking up. I did homework before.
Someone's going for star student.
I looked up to find a better word than. I tried to find another word. I couldn't. I kept looking, and I couldn't find anything that fit.
Naggy.
She was just
Rude.
I don't know. She was just this whiny, naggy, just ugh. In the book and in the show, she seems more. She's just confident. You know, she's the wisdom. She's supposed to know these things. She knows her people. She knows what she wants to take care of. She knows what she is capable of, and it shows in the character. And that actually seems like a improvement on the character because I didn't like that in her in the book. But it's still a divergence, but I kind of like that divergence.
Well,
but it's the only place they made the change that I think I liked it.
Well, see,
But you can't deny that change, throwing that stone in the pond, though, it ripples across, and now you've lost most of her character growth. She had to not be that person to grow, right?
Yeah, I kind of agree with Joe on that one. She was that naggy and annoying and condescending because she was also insecure. She didn't have that self-confidence. She gained that, and that's when the nagging started to recede, when she actually gained her confidence.
And when she finally got it, right, she could surrender, right? She could give in.
What about the fact that they didn't use any of the words?
Well, that's because, and I've given this thought, that's why they threw Egwene in the river. That's the visual they're going to use to, quote unquote, surrender to the flow, right? That's what she did in the river.
I figured that's what they were doing too, and in and of itself, it shouldn't affect anything, but my question is, why then? If the change has no effect, why?
We haven't made it to the tower yet. That'll be a thing that happens at the tower. That's what they're doing, yep.
You have to keep watching it until then?
I mean, if we're going to keep reviewing it. If we're going to keep reviewing it, I'll certainly keep watching it.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't suffer. It's like I was telling Katie earlier. It's like this is not just bad. It's Doctor Who, Lady Doctor Who bad. And,
Iron Man 3 bad?
No, not that bad. But it's definitely Lady Doctor Who bad. And I haven't watched. I have not watched it. I despise the Lady Doctor Who.
I've only seen her in the first season or the first story arc they did. I've only seen that, and I liked her then, but I haven't seen what she's done since then.
I mean,
she's not my favorite. Don't get me wrong, but
it's not great, dude. It's not great, not at all. But I digress.
Oh, you said Lady Doctor Who bad. All I could think about was the American Inspector Spacetime. And for those community fans out there, you'll know what I'm talking about.
You love that show.
The show is awesome. Yeah, it just the changing a character doesn't have to ruin it, but when you change a character that fundamentally, I am concerned about the overall vision because it seems like it's starting a path of incompatibility with the themes of the book. That frightens me.
It's the same thing that happened with Game of Thrones. The show outran the books, and that's what's going to happen here.
Especially at this pace.
But the book's are already done.
Yeah, that's what I'm like. Yeah.
Well, right. I'm aware that the books are already done, but I don't think that the staff that is creating this program
has read
through the entire. I don't think they've read through their entirety.
They're not trying to tell the Wheel of Time. They said we can use the Wheel of Time as a platform for, and that's where they went wrong right there.
Yeah, going back to episode 2, I agree with Ben when he said there should be someone on every movie set when they do a series to book series to movie who's a nerd just there to sit there with a big heavy book and pop the director on the head every time they want to get creative.
It may be a case of they had everyone, because I think they made everyone read the book, I think, but they may have only read The Eye of the World because they're doing season 1, and they made those changes, saying, well, if we change this, if we do this here, if we do this there, if we make him do this, or meet this guy, or if we change this personality trait, it doesn't change that much in the Eye of the World story. But in the Wheel of Time story, it's a huge change.
Cataclysmic.
Yeah.
Right. They're not thinking 14 books down the road.
No.
That makes so much sense. It's scary.
Well, I'm willing to at least give this a shot, begrudgingly and completely half-heartedly. I'm going to put very little effort into watching it. Just know that. But Sanderson did say that he found the majority of these decisions, and I quote, to be excellent choices, things that will give the show its own soul, but still in line with the feel and tone of the books. So I'm going to hope that, maybe we're just trying to rush through Eye of the World, and then we're going to slow things down and actually tell the story. We'll see.
And that would give me comfort. But there's one thing that keeps popping in the back of my mind that refutes that statement, which is the whole dragon can be boy or girl. I do
agree,
not see how he was okay with that.
That's probably simply a throwaway line, is what I'm.
But that's
No,
why I think.
No, it's not. If you read the reviews of other places that are out, like Times and Washington Post and all these other people that are reporting on it now, they are saying the words 5 possible dragons. 5.
Well, they said it.
That's what they said in the show.
No, they said 4 in the show.
No.
By the end of episode 3, they said 5.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But still, no, it's 3. And I'm as big a feminist as anybody. It's 3.
Agreed.
Agree.
Yeah,
Completely agree.
The dragon had to be a man. It had to be, and that was the crux of the entire situation. It's because the men went off the rails and did this without the women, and they are the ones that are paying the price for it.
Yeah, the whole lore is built on it.
I mean,
Speaking of, is anyone else surprised we haven't seen Dragon Mount?
Actually, in episode 2, when Rand walks up on the thing and he looks out over the town and you see just everything in the distance, I just knew that was going to be our moment where we saw in the distance Dragon Mount.
Nope.
And no, didn't happen. And I'm thinking we're not going to see Dragon Mount until they get to Tarvalin. I think that's where we're going to see it. I don't think we're going to see it before then.
You are correct. I think so too.
Yeah, I think you guys are right. We're not going to see Dragon Mount until we get to Tarvalin.
And I'm surprised we didn't get the intro either with Loose.
Oh, well, if you guys want to go back and watch the Crazy Billy Zane thing that they put on in the middle of the night like 20 effing years ago, knock yourself out, but it's not great.
I think they're going to give us something like that and some kind of flashback later on in the series. I think they're saving that.
Well, did anybody notice that the 2 guys that were running away, one of them ended up being Logain? Who was the other guy?
There wasn't another guy.
That was in his head.
Who was the other guy?
Yeah, that was
Who's
his
the guy in his head? How can it be not the dragon?
Yeah, it was just.
Hey, dragon rules are free and loose, baby.
Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if I go back and watch it. I wouldn't be surprised if the other guy might have been him.
I talking to himself?
Yeah.
Given the way this show's going, I wouldn't be surprised if it was Lloyd.
You're being much too hasty.
Nice.
I'm going to just go ahead and vanish into your subconscious.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Well, I'll give it a season. And if they do not correct their misbehavior after this first couple of episodes, I will pass utter judgment upon it.
Well, see here. Go ahead.
Taking my fandom ship out of it as much as I can, I still think it felt rushed from a storyline perspective. It was confusing.
Yeah.
And I've talked to a bunch of non-fans that have told me the exact same thing.
That was going to be my next question. If you could possibly take your fandom hat off of, I didn't mute my phone, my bad. Take your fandom hat off and try to look at it as if you knew nothing about the series. What opinion do you think you could give it?
Still feels rushed. I mean, there's not enough backstory there. Even The Lord of the Rings is a perfect example of this. The whole first 15 minutes of Fellowship of the Ring was an explanation of where the ring came from.
Yeah.
And what it was. And, you know, what would happen if it got it back. So, I mean, I hate to bring Peter Jackson into this, but, you know, he's a much better storyteller than Rafe Judkins is.
You're not
and
wrong.
I think that's something that's missing. I mean, the lore building is what made the world great. The Wheel of Time world is fantastic because of the world building and the lore that's involved. Another thing I didn't like, I'll tell you this too, is all the post-apocalyptic ruins of skyscrapers and crap that are everywhere. You guys notice that in the backgrounds?
I
Definitely did.
And
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
I don't know how I feel about it, but yeah, I did.
It kind of gave it a whole Thundar the Barbarian kind of vibe, and I didn't like that much.
Nice.
I didn't see that.
Well said. Well said. You didn't notice that?
No.
I'm surprised.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to make you realize that the world was broken before.
I think
Yeah,
that's what
without
their
telling
intent is, but like I said, once again, it comes off as heavy-handed.
Mm-hmm.
Right, without the lore explanation. I mean, they could have had, you know, Moraine come on and explain this and that and the other. You know, the dragon was this guy, and he murdered his whole family and killed himself. And you know, that was.
And two, she gave us three. No, two. She gave us a lesson, a long lesson.
Yeah, that's why I
Well, she
decided
talked a
that's her
lot.
new job. Her job is just to give exposition. Yep. That is her
It's
superpower.
like if they can tell this whole story about Manetheren, then why can't they tell us about the dragon in the beginning?
Agree.
You know, we got the whole Manetheren exposition in episode 2. It's like, why couldn't you just build a little world on top of that? You know, in the first episode, and tell us who the dragon was and why he's so scary.
Which, for the record, did we get all of that Manetheren detail before book 5? I always remember getting kind of crumbs and hardy people, but no history until you were pretty deep in. Before we actually
like
got
there
the
was a
same history
tale.
they got.
I feel like there was a
Right.
similar tale, but I want to say Tom told it, but I might be off base in my timing there. But I want to say it was pretty early on, book 1 or 2.
No, I think that you're right on that. I think Tom sang a song or told a story about Manetheren.
Yeah, yeah, I think
This
you're right. I
time
think it
Very
was at the
early on,
end.
actually. I think it was still like right before Bell Tide.
I think
Oh,
you're right.
yeah,
I
that's
think it was
very
when,
early,
I think
yeah.
it was the first thing he said when they were like, "All right, fine, I'll tell you a tale." Right? Like they talked him into it. Supposedly,
Oh, I
right?
do remember that. You're right.
Right. That the first tale that he ever told Rand and Matt and Perrin was about Manetheren.
Yes,
Yeah, this Tom ain't gonna do that. Yeah.
You know, that's what I
I
thought.
might do that.
I
can see
kept
that.
trying to remember, when did we get introduced to Tom? I forgot. He was in the. I wanted to say he was in the town. He was in the town because he
was
left
in the
with
town.
Yeah,
he
'cause
didn't
Matt
trust
was so
Ray.
excited.
Yeah,
He
they
didn't-
were all like, "Oh, the Gleeman's here. We gotta go hear the Gleeman stories," and
Yeah.
that never happened
And
in this show.
That's another thing. The Beltane was not supposed to be Deus des Mortis or anything like that.
Or
It was
whatever was going on. Yeah,
Yeah, it's like the Day of the Dead or something.
yeah.
And, you know,
There was no dancing.
Beltane was supposed to be Christmas and Easter all wrapped up in
Yeah.
one.
Yep.
But
Happy.
it came off as morose and brooding and sad. It's like teen angst all over the place. More CW than Robert Jordan.
And I love angst. And so the fact that it did not bond with me and nor I with it tells you something.
I think they just tried to make it visual, and I think by doing so, they lessened, the point of it which to me was that they were pretty happy in the Two Rivers before all this happened. Things were good.
Mhm.
Apparently, except for Matt's family, they're just
Yeah,
horrible people.
apparently so, right?
Yeah. And
Really,
see,
only
that's
broke people in the entire town. How's that work?
Well, here's my thing. If you have never read The Wheel of Time, you don't know anything about it, you sat down and you watched that very first episode, on Matt particularly, I'm not sure what you would think or who you think Matt is. Because they're giving you two very different narratives in the very first
Yes.
episodes. One, he's the irresponsible, reckless, carousing youth. The other one, he's the sole actual parent in a dysfunctional and abusive family.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know how Matt's dad is a womanizer in a town like Two Rivers.
Like I
Well,
said,
there were like 3
how does
dozen
all this
people in the
work?
whole town.
Yeah. How does all this? How are they the only two people that are a drunk and a womanizer? There's like 22 people live in the whole place, man.
Not anymore. Now there's 10.
Holy.
If that many.
I would say this was fun. I mean, I guess it was fun, but it also felt like a therapy session.
This was
Thanks
fun.
for having
Thanks
me.
for having us.
Tons of fun.
Hey, wait to do it again.
Join us next week for more Weaves and Will Talk. And please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. May you find shade, my friends.
They didn't need to. They just didn't need to be gaudy. In fact, they're gaudy to the point where you can't tell what they're supposed to be.
Well, Moraine's is blueberry, and I guess that the Aja, they carry like raspberry ones or something. I don't know.
Oh, you're right. Cherry Crush.
Yeah.
They're all ring pops.
All right,
They're all ring pops. Yeah. With their pacing, he should be in episode 4.
I don't remember well
Yeah,
enough to
man,
contest it. Yeah, so.
with their pacing, we should be taking the Stone of Tear by episode 4.
Touche.
We should have this wrapped up nicely by the 12th episode.
World
Right.
saved.
How many? What is it? 14 books wrapped up into 4 episodes.
It's something that's the people that have read the books have taken the time to read all 14 books. It's kind of like a slap in the face, and you can't deny that. But,
No, but-
at the same time, you got to kind of watch it for what it is. I guess I'm resigned to watching the first season, but like I won't pass judgment until the end of the first season. Not completely.
I mean, as an avid reader, I just have to think I'm not surprised, honestly. I feel let down and definitely disappointed and certainly unhappy, but I'm not shocked. My review, by the way, which has over 200 helpfuls, if that matters, on Amazon, was simply, you guys sell the books, right?
Burn.
Yeah,